Kakadosh Boker Or. I wanted to share with you guys a beautiful Devar Torah, which I think is actually something very important. What is the purpose of a father? Right? What's his job? What's a main focus that a person has to just understand, right, to do with a father? What's his job? So I wanted to share with you that, did you actually understand what father means? So Rashi, he comes and he teaches us a very good secret, and he says like this. In Parashat Vayigash, it says in Perek Mem Hei Chet, Ve'ata, and now, Lo atem shelachtem oti henna. You guys didn't send me here. Yosef HaTzadik is telling the brothers, you guys didn't send me. Ki Elokim, God put me here. Wherever I am in this world, it was Hashem. It wasn't you guys. You guys didn't do nothing. Vaysimeni le'av leFaro, and he placed me as a father to Paro, ul adon lechol beto, and as a master for all of his house, u'moshe, and as a ruler in all the land of Mitzrayim. Rashi says, what does it mean? Av, a father, chaver, the patron. Yeah, a friend and a patron. What does that mean exactly? Like a father. That's what it is. Right? Patron is like a father, because in the pater, right, in Ashkenaz, remember Rashi was in Ashkenaz, that's a father. So chaver as a friend. And that's what also the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. Ihachi Amar Abba. What is Abba? Rashi says Abba Chaveri. Chaveri, what is my friend? Just like an Avrech is the Abba leMalka, he's the friend of the king. So the same thing. And therefore, it's something actually very, very interesting, which is coming out. Which means that there's a lot of times, there's a lot of nekudot that the father, right, we know that he has to have a mitzvah of chinuch, he has to educate. The pasuk says, "V'inei Hashem nitzav alav vayomer ani Hashem Elokei Avraham avicha ve'Elokei Yitzchak." Right? It says in this week's Parashat Vayeitze, Hashem comes down to Yaakov and he says, "I am Hashem, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Yitzchak." One second, who's the father of Yaakov? Abraham or Yitzchak? Yitzchak is the father of Yaakov, not Abraham. Why does it say Elokei Avraham avicha? I'm the God of Abraham, your father. He's not your father, he's your grandfather. And then the God of Yitzchak. Ha'adet, the land which you're going to lie down upon. Rabbeinu Ephraim says, Tema. I don't understand. He called his father, his grandfather, his father. And on his own father, he doesn't call him father. So he comes and he says, you know why? Because since Yaakov Avinu, in the lifetime of Avraham Avinu, they were so close to each other. And because since Abraham so respected Yaakov, remember we spoke about this last week, that it could be that Abraham was the one that gave him the name father, that they gave him the name Yaakov. Because of the Ekev, Asher Shama Avraham Bekuli. Avraham Avinu watched the mitzvot for 172 years, Ekev, out of the 175, because he recognized his creator at the age of 3. So because he loved him so much, he called him his son. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu also called him the father. But Yitzchak, he loved his Saba Rasha more. So he didn't call him his father. Look at that. You understand what we're reading? Something incredible. Another place also is where at the end of the parasha, Yaakov comes, and when they're running away from Lavan, Yaakov comes and he tells his brothers, come, let's get stones. And then they went and they made a gal, they made a mount, and they ate there with Lavan. Who's Yaakov Avinu's brothers? Yaakov, first of all, only has one brother, Esav, and whatever brother you want to call that. But what does it mean? Vayomer Yaakov le'echav, in plural, to his brothers. Rashi says le'echav, to his brothers, hem banav, their children. And also the Rav Chida comes and he says, musar le'av. It's a musar. It's ethics. We're teaching you musar, that your older children, don't be heavy on them, but rather they should be like you, like brothers. So therefore, you're always going to live in peace and tranquility. Yaakov Avinu alav Shalom used to act with his children like they were his brothers. And that's what you should do with your children. And now we understand what it says. Hine matov u'manaim shevet achim gam yachad. That your brothers, what is achim gam? Achim are your brothers. Achim gam, your brothers, and also gam yachad. What's a gam? Achim gam is the numerical value of banim, your children. That your children should also be like your brothers. Look how beautiful it's going to be that when your children are going to be like your brothers. And therefore, a person has to understand that there's two different rules that a person has to play out. A father has to be madrich his children, has to be mechanech. And then besides being mechanech, which is educating your children, you have to be a father. What does it mean, a father? A friend. And that's why it's so important. So there was a beautiful story that brought down in the Sefer Lulet Toratecha that Rav Asher Bergman, he heard from his grandfather, the Shach, that once there was a boy that he was having a lot of problems in his parents' house. His parents, they weren't behaving nicely with him. You know, many times, especially if a child is not 100% like the parent wants, that's it. You understand? So sometimes the parents, they send their children to the schools that they want them to go to, or they want to send the children to things because this was what represents them, and it's not good for the child, but they're only paying attention to themselves. And it once happened with Rav Shach that he went and Rav Shach called him. He wanted to speak to them. So the parents come and they said, this is not the derech of chinuch. So Rav Shach comes and he tells them like this: the Torah Kedosha put a double job to parents. That double job of parents and as mechanchim. Mechanchim are people that educate. He says you have to remember that the small docha, the yamin mekarevet, the left pushes away, but the right has to bring close. Sha'ikaru akiruv, but you have to know that the ikar is bringing closer. Meaning, even if you're going to push away, you have to, the same way that you're pushing away, you're bringing close. And the ikar is to bring closer. But now he says this is only during the times until Rabbi Yehoshua ben Gamla. Until Rabbi Yehoshua ben Gamla, because then it's split. The father now appoints, right? Now appoints his tafkid as a mechanech, as an educator, to the rabbis, to the school, right? And that's why it's so important to understand what school you're sending your children to, because now your school are the educators. They become the educators. So what's left then for the parent? Only to show love. Only to show love to the child. And therefore, Maran, the visit of Shach, he comes and he tells the parents, right? In your house, you have to act with all the love in the world. You have to come and try to always come to him, towards him, right? You're going to give him the food that he wants, get whatever that he needs. The yeshiva is going to worry about his education, not you guys. The house is supposed to give over warmth. It's supposed to give over love, because if not, he's going to look for it in other places. Yeah, and that's why it's so important that a person should just understand this entire concept. At the end of the day, a person should understand that you're obligated to come and to be friendly with them. Do you know that they once heard from Rosh Shiva that he was there when Rav Elyashiv was there. And he basically went and he said that there was a seminary for girls. And he went and he said that he heard from Rav Wozner, right? That he went and he said like this, that somebody that's not a friend to their daughter, don't be afraid or don't be surprised if she's going to find another friend. And it'll be somebody, a stranger. And therefore he went and he said that Rav Elyashiv, he actually went and he said, wow, why? Because they went and they said, in our generation, every girl needs a friend. Fortunate is the girl that her father is her friend, right? And therefore he went, and when Rav Elyashiv heard this, he said, wow, you know what? It's true. Why? Because our children, they need us as parents, not always as educators. The educators leave to the school. For the parents, our job is to love, and that's what we're supposed to give over to our children. I think this is an incredible message, because sometimes we actually forget, and we are so much in the role of educators, that we forget our main role. And the role of a parent is to be a friend with their children. The role of a parent is to show the love to their children. Because if they're not going to get the love at home, where are they going to get it? And I just think that that's important for us to understand. Bezrat Hashem. Have a wonderful day. Shabbat Shalom.